Okay, welcome to the deep dive. We're diving headfirst into a pretty wild story that landed in our inbox. It's a detailed account of a neighborhood dispute that escalated, let's just say significantly.
Yeah, significantly might be an understatement. We've got a specific source here shared with us. It's a narrative focusing on a car owner, their rather prized vehicle, and an HOA president who seems to have taken her role, well, maybe a bit too far.
Absolutely. So our goal here is to really unpack this saga. Using the details from this account, we'll look at what sparked the conflict, how things spun out so fast, and, the pretty dramatic outcome.
Right. Think of it as a case study. How disagreements, maybe some perceived rule breaking, and just clashing personalities can completely throw a neighborhood off balance.
It's a look at authority, definitely,
Yeah.
perceived threats, the importance of evidence, and honestly, the potentially disastrous consequences of overstepping.
Yeah, this isn't your typical argument over long maintenance, that's for sure.
Okay, so let's set the scene based on the source. We start with the car owner. They move into this neighborhood described as quiet and maybe overpriced, and they bring with them something they clearly love, a custom matte black McLaren.
Yes, the source uses some pretty affectionate language for it, calls it one love in my life, my therapy, my escape, my trophy. You get the picture.
Definitely sounds important to them.
And crucially, they seem very aware of having a car like this in a quiet area. The source explicitly states, didn't blast music, didn't rev at 3 a.m., and definitely never hit more than 20 miles per hour within the neighborhood gates.
So by their account, trying to be a good neighbor, responsible owner, just happens to have a fancy car.
Exactly. Trying to fit in, seems like. But the problem apparently wasn't the driving, it was the car itself.
And that's where Karen, as the source calls her, the HOA president, comes in.
Right. The issue wasn't behavior, it was just the car existing there.
And the first move wasn't exactly subtle.
Not at all. No friendly chat, no official warning letter through proper channels. It was a note, left right on the windshield.
And the source calls it.
Not a polite one, but pure Karen-certified chaos. Seemed like it was less about rules, more about just pure dislike.
So what did it actually say? The accusations.
Get this. Your car is a threat to our community. It is far too fast, intimidating to children, and violates the spirit of peaceful living.
Intimidating to children. A parked car. How is a car intimidating? That sounds quite a reach.
It's fascinating framing, isn't it? It immediately paints the car and therefore the owner as this inherent danger, using really loaded words: threat, intimidating, violates the spirit.
And no specific incident mentioned.
Yeah.
Just the vibe is off.
Pretty much. Just a declaration that its mere presence is wrong against the community's spirit, whatever that means.
And then there was an ultimatum.
Oh, yeah. You have 2 weeks to remove it before further action is taken.
Wow. 2 weeks to get rid of your own car, parked legally, based on a windshield note.
The owner's reaction says it all, really. The source says, oh, I laughed. I really did.
Can't blame them, honestly.
Right. They didn't see it as legitimate at all. Because, and this is key, they immediately checked the HOA handbook. And guess what?
Nothing.
0 rules banning specific types of vehicles. Sedans, SUVs, sports cars. Didn't matter. No rule against it.
So the note was just completely baseless in terms of actual HOA regulation.
Exactly. So the owner, instead of panicking, snapped a photo of the note, filed it away, mentally tagged it for the Karen Chronicles folder.
Okay, so they saw it for what it was. A personal vendetta dressed up as official business.
Yeah, it sets up this contrast perfectly. You've got the owner following the actual rules, finding the whole thing ridiculous, and then you have the president acting like she can just make up rules based on feelings.
And the source mentioned something about her own driving.
A little aside, yeah. Allegedly doing 50 in her Range Rover while yelling at squirrels adds a layer of, shall we say, potential hypocrisy.
Okay, so that's the spark. Ridiculous note, ignored ultimatum. Seems almost funny at this point. But it didn't stop there.
No, not even close. Fast forward 2 weeks. It's day 15, 1 day after Karen's deadline.
And the owner goes outside.
Expecting maybe another angry note, something passive-aggressive.
But
But no, they froze. The McLaren wasn't just keyed or something minor. It was, and the source uses this word, wrecked.
wrecked, like seriously damaged.
Oh, yeah. The description is brutal. Windows smashed, paint stripped, tires slashed. The source literally says someone had gone full Mad Max on it.
Whoa! Okay, that's not just vandalism. That's deliberate destruction. Full-on Mad Max, he said.
That's the quote. This wasn't random mischief. This was targeted, calculated, meant to completely destroy the car.
That's a massive escalation from a
Yeah.
note to that.
Huge. And right at this moment, a neighbor comes into the story. Denise.
And she saw something.
Partially. She apparently whispered to the owner something like, "Hey, I saw Karen and the landscaping guy doing something to your car last night. Thought it was weird."
Thought it was weird. Understatement of the year, maybe? Seeing the HOA president and a landscaper messing with a car at night?
Right. It's incredibly suspicious. What does doing something mean? She was maybe hesitant, didn't want to get involved initially, but it points fingers, doesn't it?
Directly at Karen. But here's the twist the source mentions. The owner sees this devastation
Ah.
and doesn't freak out.
Not outwardly, no. No screaming, no crying. Instead, they smile.
Smiled. Seeing their prized McLaren destroyed. Why?
Because, and this is brilliant, they knew something Karen didn't. They had proof, hidden evidence.
Evidence. How?
They'd installed a security camera, but not an obvious one. It was hidden inside the porch light fixture.
Oh, clever. Very clever. So they either expected trouble or were just really into security.
Either way, it paid off massively because that hidden camera caught everything.
Everything.
According to the source, yes. The footage apparently showed Karen still ranting about vehicular threats.
Still on that theme.
Oh, yeah. And then the act itself, swinging a hammer.
A hammer.
The source says she was auditioning for a horror movie, and later a police officer who saw the footage described it as swinging a sledge like it was gardening day on a Lamborghini. A sledgehammer.
An HOA president with a sledgehammer destroying a resident's car. This is unbelievable.
And get this, the officer also noted, wow, she's not even trying to hide it. No ski mask, no gloves, just Karen in her floral house coat.
So brazen.
Yeah.
Just felt completely justified, untouchable maybe. Like her HOA title gave her a free pass to commit felonies in her housecoat.
It seems that way. A total disconnect from reality or consequences. So the owner sees this footage.
What do?
Immediately. Press pause, grabbed my phone, and called my lawyer and the police. Smart move. No confronting Karen directly, just straight to the authorities with undeniable proof.
And the neighbor, Denise.
Once the police were involved and there was clear video evidence, she apparently felt safe enough to give a full witness statement, corroborating what the camera showed.
Okay, so the evidence is locked down.
Hmm.
Police are involved. What happens when they confront Karen?
Her reaction is something else. The source says she immediately tried to play the victim.
The victim, after taking a sledgehammer to a car.
Yep. Claimed she was the victim, doubled down on the car being a missile on wheels, said she was just protecting the community because the owner ignored her warnings.
Warnings? You mean the unhinged note? This is delusion on a grand scale.
It really seems like it. The owner's reported response was perfect. Oh, so now vandalism is community service. Just cutting right through that justification.
Did she try to explain why vandalism was the answer?
She apparently brought up child safety again. Claimed the car was a temptation to speed for others.
So it's the car's fault someone might speed. That makes no sense.
The owner's comparison in the source nails it. Like
Right.
blaming a blender for someone's bad haircut. It's just deflecting responsibility onto an object.
And did she try the HOA handbook again?
Reportedly, yes. Tried to imply the owner was breaking rules. But that fell flat because, as we know...
There were no rules against the car.
Exactly. And the owner didn't just know this. They apparently went through the handbook again, highlighted the lack of relevant rules, and then emailed the entire HOA board.
Ooh, what was the subject line?
According to the source, Karen's favorite fictional rules annotated edition?
Mic drop. That's using the system against her own false narrative. Brilliant.
Total power move. Documented proof against unsubstantiated claims. They weren't just defending, they were building their own case.
Which leads to the civil suit, right?
Right. And they weren't messing around. The lawyer was apparently eager. The list of charges was long.
What did it include?
Obviously, property damage for the car, trespassing for coming onto the property to do it, but also harassment.
Based on the note.
And also apparently HOA-wide emails Karen had sent out. The source says she called the owner things like a reckless speed demon, dangerous street racer, public menace, even the Fast and the Furious embarrassment.
Wow. Okay, so publicly smearing them to the whole neighborhood.
Yeah. Which led to another charge, defamation, spreading lies that damaged their reputation.
Makes sense. And anything else?
Emotional distress. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, after your car gets destroyed and you're publicly attacked by the HOA president, seems pretty reasonable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they had video evidence, a witness, documented harassment, defamation. Quite a case. How did Karen approach the court hearing?
Get this. She showed up without a lawyer.
No lawyer facing all that.
Nope, just brought a clipboard and a bad attitude. And apparently tried to present blurry photos of the McLaren parked legally as some kind of defense.
Blurry photos of it, parked legally. How does that help her case that she smashed it with a sledgehammer?
Right. It shows how disconnected she was. Still thinking her opinion about the car mattered more than the actual evidence of her actions. The owner apparently almost felt bad. Almost.
I can imagine. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion.
Yeah.
Was there a key moment in court?
There was. The judge reportedly cut through all the noise and asked her directly, "Miss Karen, are you admitting to damaging the plaintiff's car?"
The million-dollar question. What did she say?
Her answer, apparently oblivious to the legal implications, was, "I was doing what the HOA should have done months ago."
Oh my gosh, she admitted it. Just like that. And basically said she was taking the law into her own hands.
Pretty much confessed right there. The source describes the reaction in the courtroom as silence. The kind of silence that tastes like victory. Her own words sealed her fate.
Wow. So the ruling must have been pretty straightforward after that.
You'd think so. The judge called it one of the more unusual cases, but stressed the evidence was overwhelming. The video, the witness, and her own admission.
And the verdict.
Karen was found liable for full damages, and that didn't just mean repairs.
What did it mean?
Full replacement cost of the McLaren, including, the source notes, any upgrades the owner wanted on the new one.
Ouch. That's a lot of money for a McLaren.
A lot. Plus she had to pay all the court fees. And a separate fine specifically for the harassment campaign.
How did they react? The owner and Karen.
The owner was reportedly sitting there smiling, Karen. Her jaw hit the table, followed by a blinked, wait, what? Like, the reality of the financial hit only landed right then.
That's got to be a shock.
Yeah.
So did the owner get a new McLaren?
Oh, yes. 2 weeks later, according to the source, same model, same matte black finish.
Any
Yeah.
special touches?
A couple.
Yeah.
Custom red brake calipers and stitched into the leather headrests. Thanks, Karen.
No way, seriously.
Seriously. The owner called it not subtle, but satisfying beyond words. A little daily reminder inside the car she paid for.
That is dedication to the bit. What about Karen's consequences, besides the headrests?
Severe. The total bill with the car, fees, fines, reportedly came close to $300,000.
$300,000. Wow.
The source says she entered financial hell, had to sell the Range Rover, the one she supposedly sped in, and take out a second mortgage on her house.
So her actions completely backfired, financially ruined her almost.
Pretty much. And it wasn't just money. Her husband apparently quit the HOA board. The landscaper involved refused to work for her anymore.
Even the poodle.
Even the poodle. Reportedly developed stress-induced alopecia, lost some fur over the whole ordeal. The source sums it up. Karma was officially working overtime.
Karma and, well, the legal system backed by solid evidence. Did the owner do anything else?
One final symbolic act described in the source drove the new McLaren through the neighborhood, very slowly, exactly 10 mile per hour.
Making a point about speed limits.
Precisely. And while doing so, playing the theme tune from Curb Your Enthusiasm through a speaker.
Oh, that's perfect. The ultimate awkward but triumphant soundtrack.
Right. A very public, very pointed victory lap without breaking any rules.
And Karen's reaction to this performance.
Reportedly so, the whole thing was frozen on her lawn with a dead-eyed stare, watching like the final boss in a video game she absolutely failed to beat.
That visual is something else. Defeated by the very thing she tried to eliminate, driven slowly to a jaunty theme tune.
A pretty definitive end to that particular conflict, though she did apparently try one last thing at the next HOA meeting.
Oh, what was that?
Tried to claim she acted in good faith, said the court was biased against safety advocates.
Did anyone buy it?
Source says nobody bought it. By then, everyone knew the story, the video, the judgment, her credibility was shot. Denise, the neighbor witness, she apparently brought popcorn to the meeting.
Popcorn. That says everything about how the neighborhood saw her by then.
Doesn't it?
Mm.
The HOA board voted unanimously to remove her as president. Someone even suggested banning her from meetings altogether. Her reign was over.
And after that?
The owner upgraded their security system, probably wise. And Karen started actively avoiding the owner and their property. No eye contact, wide berth. The conflict resolved, legally and socially, but the impact remained.
What a story.
Yeah.
Wow. So, stepping back, what are the big takeaways here?
Well, first, it's a stark warning about letting personal feelings or a sense of entitlement override actual rules and procedures, especially if you're in a position of authority like an HOA president.
Right. The title doesn't give you superpowers to enforce your own reality.
Exactly. Her perception was completely warped. She saw a threat where there was just a car and felt justified in committing serious crimes based on that perception. Which leads to the second point.
Evidence matters. Hugely.
Massively. That hidden camera footage was the game changer. Without it, it might have been a much messier he said, she said. Documentation, the note, the emails, the handbook, it all built the case. Objective facts beat subjective feelings in court.
And it really underscores the owner's quote you mentioned earlier. An HOA title doesn't make you judge, jury, and executioner.
Sure.
There are processes for disputes. Vigilantism, especially with a sledgehammer, is not one of them.
Definitely not. The consequences for Karen were devastating financially, socially. Destroying someone's property over personal dislike or imaginary rules is just never the answer. It backfired spectacularly.
It makes you think about community living in general, doesn't it? How do you balance individual rights like owning the car you want with community standards? And how do you handle disagreements when personalities clash so strongly?
And it highlights the need for really clear rules and fair processes. When those are missing or ignored, you get situations like this, where personal vendettas can escalate wildly. The danger wasn't the McLaren, it was the person wielding imaginary authority and eventually a real hammer.
It really started with such a small thing, a car, a note, and spiraled into crime, lawsuits, financial ruin. It's a cautionary tale for sure.
Absolutely. It leaves you with a final thought, perhaps. Where is that line between wanting safety or order in a community and crossing into vigilantism? And how crucial are those objective rules, that clear evidence, in preventing people from appointing themselves judge, jury, and, well, sledgehammer wielder?